Welcome to the live stream. Today we have a pretty exciting topic. I'm very eager to, be here with everybody because we are on the cusp of something really huge. I think, we've been developing systems, for the Co-x3 family, systems geared to help you level up and live a better life. And I've had a lot of challenges, over the past year as we kept getting more and more new features and new components and new ways to really better organize our lives. It got very hard for us to be as helpful as we could for the newer members who are coming into the community. People who have just found out about Notion, maybe just found out about our systems, are not really used to or ready for perhaps the sheer amount of different ways you could really organize your life and make life better. So this year, I've really been on a mission to not really just see things through my own eyes if I was a brand new user, but really go and talk to so many of our different users who have, different community members who have graced us with their presence inside the community and gotten their take on how we could better improve the systems to fit their needs if they were starting brand new, and also capturing people who were in that brand new process and seeing how we can better effectively help them find what they need and succeed with their lives. So my biggest challenge though was I really felt anxious about releasing anything that wasn't in a state of, and I really don't want to say perfection, but I felt like I was aiming for some kind of perfection in this field because I I didn't want to release anything that was just marginal improvements. Obviously, I had a lot of different technical improvements in the system where I had new views to look at things. I found better optimizations on how to do review cycles and plan my dailies and plan out what I have to do every single day. Where I'm super efficient now with using the system, but I felt like, what's the point of that kind of efficiency if all the different people who are coming in may not be able to appreciate that because they can't really, uh, you know, find their way through the system as effectively as they could be, right? The user experience could be improved. So as you guys know, like a year back, we went with the whole tutorial island concept, which was a super hit, and having like a gamified kind of walkthrough through a system where you imagine yourself as a brand new adventurer in a tutorial island, learning how to do basic things with Notion, learning how to hand in tasks, complete your first quest, and so on and so forth. And then we released a sequel, which is the Enchanted Forest, and then that basically allowed you to, you know, go above and beyond in terms of how you use Notion and in terms of how you use your system, understanding how to do proper reflections, how to understand how to, immortalize your learning, all sorts of really cool stuff that it was really a big hit. But I still felt like there was these missing bits where, one, it wasn't really clear on how to navigate within the system, right? We needed a very clear way of organizing the systems. And we also didn't really have a very, I guess I would say, like, you know, even with the tutorial system, it wasn't super clear how things were connected. And we tried using sync blocks, but that wasn't super intuitive. So, like, there's a lot of things there that I felt like really could use a lot of help. And so I started experimenting a lot, right? And I think where we actually ended up, you know, getting a lot of breakthroughs was being able to figure out, hey, if this works, whatever works for collaboration, right? Whatever new ways we can organize ourselves that has clear instructions, clear use cases, clear, you know, uh, clear ways to even work together in a team, right? Because we at the Co-x3 family, we have our own Teamspace. We have over 400 people who are actively kind of using our space and building new things. If we can really just organize that space, wouldn't that already be the structure that we would want for our entire system, right? So that kind of went into how we started designing the design system, right? How do we keep things consistent so that users who are using any of our systems, we have many different things from, how to be intentional in your life, how to take back life control, how to gamify your life, how to grow wealth, how to create the Rich Creators Toolkit. So how do we make all these consistent in their look and feel? And not just that, but when they jump into our workspace to collaborate with us and co-create with us on the brand new things that we're doing to kind of make life better, how can that be a seamless kind of process, right? So I thought that was also something that was really cool. So I guess what I'm trying to say here, guys, like, just walking through these steps, I want to appreciate everybody for your patience in awaiting this year's update. I really wanted to be out by the beginning of the year, but I just really couldn't bear to have all these things kind of not as refined as I knew it could be. And a lot of the process required a lot of Q&A with different people in the community, a lot of testing. I've duplicated this package like, oh my gosh, over 200 times just to fix some certain duplication bugs and make sure things work well. So I think at the end of the day, I'm very, very happy with the result that we have because I know it works. And that's the most important thing. I want to make sure we're delivering something that works and not just works with, at the most basic level. Because I think we have a lot of different systems already like included. Like it's not like if you had a earlier version of our system, you'd be kind of missing anything significant. No, you still have a very significant system in your hands. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that every release that we did that was on a kind of a year, quarterly basis should be significant in its own right. And I think we've finally accomplished that. So I think without further ado, I'm going to go in and kind of share a bit about what's been going on, give you a walkthrough of the system, tell you about maybe some of the interesting stories that went into each of these different developments, if I can remember them, right? And just have a good time generally. The system is probably going to be properly released and shared with everybody sometime this weekend. I'm still recording a few more tutorial videos just to let everyone know. But definitely by the end of this weekend, by our Monday newsletter, everyone should have a copy of their system ready for them inside their Make More Fun app if you're using that, or inside your email for anyone who has been a subscriber all the way until the beginning of January. I want to make sure everyone who has been here for the new year still receives the update as well, even though we are a bit late on our end. And I really want to thank everybody again for their patience for that. So let's talk about why we want this. Well, we want to release and share with the community what we've been working on to finally really drop our biggest Toolbox release ever and how it will really help you to level up in 2023. So I've kind of broken down like 4 big things that we ended up doing for this quarter. And obviously, I think there's a bit more than that, but I think these are the main ways I'll kind of organize how things have changed and to help you kind of navigate what you might need to know regarding the system and how it will help you moving forward. So the first thing I think is changelog updates for communication. I think it's been quite difficult for everyone to follow on with the new updates if there hasn't been any consistent update notes that we've been releasing in a cohesive and coherent way. So the main thing that we wanted to do here was we wanted to kind of make sure everybody who came to our Toolbox updates was able to see just a blurb about what this update's all about, if they should even be interested. So the first thing is like, is this update interesting to you? Should you even take this into your own system? Because I think a huge use case of our system is that we have a lot of people who are power users in the community, which I love. You guys are used to building your own systems already. You're pretty much advanced in terms of your Notion usage, or at least intermediate. And you have really taken the pieces of our systems that make sense for you and implement it into something that works for you that's very highly customized. So when there comes a new update, it becomes a decision, right? Should I migrate my data to the newest updates, or should I just take what is useful? And we wanted to make sure that this is something that helps both of these kind of personas. So first of all, understand if it's useful or not, then see the updates and understand, which packages it touches, then also understand what's included in this update. So we've kind of streamlined this where we try to have the type of update it is. Is it a new feature? Is it an enhancement? Is it a bug fix? And then which component does it touch? Does it touch generally everything? Is it a dashboard change? Is it a database property or a database template? Or is it a database view change? Or is it a tutorial? So basically just making sure that everybody is well aware of what exactly is being worked on. And then also, you can see in real time, for example, I'm going to move this. This was completed, in real time, what kind of is being scoped out for this update. Because that's another thing. And I want to thank a lot of people in the community for pointing this out, is that feature creep is a real thing. So meaning that as you keep developing new features and new ways to do things, you want to include them all inside the new update. And previously, it was very, very difficult for us to do that because I might be testing on my own personal system, someone else might be testing on theirs, and migrating those changes to the main system takes some time, and uh, it can also cause complexity because then we have to update the tutorials to include that use case. We need to update the dashboards to reflect that new property or whatever it might be that's being added. And there was cascading effects of how things needed to kind of update as we included new updates, of course. So I think from now on, what we're doing is, one, I am actually going to be working off of the master now. So that's at least inside the Co-x3 system, a lot of things are going to be running off the master so that when we do updates, ideally we do them direct. But the second thing is we also want to just make sure that we're locking down what sort of updates are going into the quarter, and then we don't add new things. Even though new things may come around, we'll just save them for the next updates. So that I think will make things a lot easier. But anyways, we also have one of our big themes is we also really wanted to make sure that all our database templates are very, very clean, which means that we have sync blocks that really kind of demonstrate like, oh, what's the purpose of this thing? What does this feature accomplish and how is it created? And actually you'll see that for all our different components now, all our different templates, our databases, we have these database templates that automatically generate when you create something, so that it's really, really easy for you to see exactly what needs to be done for this page to really maximize its use case and maximize its usability for your own personal system needs. So that's something that's really, really important for us. So I think moving on, just generally some system updates. So comprehensive database templates for every database, I talked about that. Generally, you can access all these database templates like this. So as you might not know, or you might know or not know, is that we have a very comprehensive system navigation setup now inside our system, where if you ever use a sidebar, and I've developed this because I know a lot of people do, you can easily see everything on the side. Like you can easily know how you can get started, the tutorials, the dashboards, the components, and it's all there for you at your fingertips, right? And if you go to components, basically you can see all the different components that are available there for your specific template. Of course, my master, I have every single template in here. But the idea is that if I want to go ahead and look at any particular, components, let's say areas of competence, I can see all the different tutorials that are linked there, all the different synced blocks, which involves the dashboards. So that these are the sync blocks that will sync with your dashboard as well. So if I change something here, it'll change on the dashboard. And so we make sure that, hey, if you like this view, but you don't want that specific dashboard, you can actually move it anywhere you want, and it still stays synced. So any of your changes can still be across multiple dashboards. So I love that part of the system. That's something that was a huge, huge improvement to what we had before. And actually something that has been the bane of my existence for duplication bugs. It's so hard duplicating sync blocks because sync blocks tend to, one is, I think they duplicate in a different order than everything else is. So if the sync block doesn't duplicate first and the dashboard duplicates before the sync block does, then that means that dashboard will duplicate without the sync block. So it's still missing a view. So there's a lot of weird things like that. I've tried my best to resolve most of them. And of course, if some still fall through cracks, we apologize. But most of the things have been fixed. just by really trial and erroring and understanding how Notion works in terms of duplication, and really just making sure that we found workarounds around each one. But aside from that, like basically for each template inside our databases, I actually opted to put the main copy in a sync block, which basically allows us to easily update any of this content if we find that we need to change any of the formatting of how our kind of database works. So basically the idea is this, right? Like let's say we come up with a new update and we say, hey, we've updated how you can, one of the database templates, and you check it out, you say, oh, that's pretty cool. I like that feature. I want that kind of database template. So what happens is instead of having to go back into every single one of your templates, right? Or so every single one of your entries that you've already created for your templates with your old database template, all you have to do is just go in and just change one of them, and instantly everything will change. Let me give you an example. So let's say I was inside sustainable business, and instead of how improving this area, I want to make this like an exclamation mark. Just let me just say I did that. Then you can see immediately in anything else, even in career, this becomes an exclamation mark. So this makes it really, really easy for you to just patch changes into your system, which is, again, one of the biggest pain points that we found when we were going through updating the process and understanding how everything should work. So that's something that has been a huge improvement for us that we're really appreciative of. Another thing that has come up that I want to show you guys here is basically like everything is super clean in terms of how you navigate your databases. So every database will always have an all view, and it'll always have views for the use case. So if there's different types of data, then there might be different tabs to manage those different types, but ultimately there's always going to be an all view for you to easily see everything in a table view, and if you need to edit anything, it's there for you to change. So that's another huge improvement for the system. And of course, guys, if you have any questions while we go through this, feel free to ask. I'm always happy to kind of answer and to see how I can be helpful. I also want to make sure that everyone is still seeing my screen. So yeah, that is it. Perfect. So let's continue, and we are going on the next one. So comprehensive academy articles for every component. So if you go into your components back into the C, so C signifies components, D signifies dashboard, T signifies tutorial, okay, just so you know. So basically what we have here is we have a blueprint for every single different component. And the blueprint basically organizes all the different properties that we have and every single database that we have for that component very easily for you to see, so that you know exactly, one is what does each property do, so that if I want to customize my system, what can I change, what shouldn't I touch if I still want to maintain certain features. And more importantly, I guess it's how I can really make it use for myself, right? So I kind of understand like, oh, what exactly is it in my system that I'm getting, so I don't end up missing certain things. Because what happens is when we have a lot of different, I guess, properties, what we try to do is we try to hide everything inside here. So we don't show every property. So we don't want people to miss that either, right? So some properties are obviously there just for like behind the scenes kind of processing. Like you don't need to use it in this specific view. Maybe in another view you might need it, and therefore we'll surface it at that point. But we still want to make sure that you know exactly what's in your system, so that even if you haven't gone through that tutorial yet, you know exactly what's going on and you're not lost about the process. So when you go to your tutorials, what happens is you'll have an opportunity to learn, exactly how to do something, right? As you can see, there's a tutorial video, there's you can take action, there will be like a view for you to just easily kind of edit the things you need to edit. But also there'll be additional readings for you so that you can learn more about this as we continue to develop more and more articles to help you get supplementary understanding of any particular component inside our system. So again, the blueprints or even just additional articles that teach you like, hey, what is a value, stuff like that. And if you ever want to find new articles, even beyond the ones that we've linked, because we're going to continuously develop new articles, and I'm going to show you guys how we're doing that together collaboratively inside the Co-x3 space. But basically, you can just search anything, you'll be able to find it. So let's say I want to find something about inbox. I want to know what inbox, how that works. I'm going to search in inbox. We can learn how to manage your inbox, what's the blueprints, how to get to inbox zero. Like there's going to be tons and tons of resources for you to really just understand how this all works. And the best part is if you want to really ask questions about, and you want to comment on it. So you can see at the bottom, it's like, hey, if you have any thoughts or feedback to improve this article, click the bookmark below to access the Notion page powering this article and comment and edit. So if you just click on this, you can instantly be sent to Notion where you can actually go in and comment on this article directly, give us feedback on what we can improve about this, what questions you had when you went through, and also maybe if you have additional things that you thought we might want to also cover in perhaps a new article, feel free to also add that here. So that's something that's very, very, very appropriate for everyone to come in and collaborate on. So the next thing I want to talk about is tutorials, updated latest version. I think that's something that we're working on, so thank you for that. Modularization of each component. So another thing that people were not really understanding of, and I found it really hard to explain this because for me it was intuitive, but obviously for everyone else it might not be. But how do I, well, first, why did we organize our system this way? And what benefits does it give when it comes to kind of integrating systems either within the Co-x3 toolbox or outside of our template as well, right? Other people's templates. So basically, the first thing is, well, why did we kind of break up the system into three? The tutorial, the dashboard, the components. Like, what is the point? So the components is really the brainchild of everything. The idea is that the components is the core thing you might want to migrate if you ever want to take in a system from someone else. So let's say, for example, I start off with the intentional and I wanted, or so let's say I start off with out control, right? Which means I got everything up here. And I also wanted to add grow wealth into my arsenal. So after I get grow wealth, the package, it will come just with this component. All I really have to do is just highlight everything and then move it into my system. Like it's almost as simple as that. Like it's like, wow, so simple, right? And immediately I'll already have everything that's needed for this component. So, and again, like I said, the original databases, the sync blocks containing all the different views I need to populate them anywhere. And then if I go to dashboards, and then again, I find the section for grow wealth. Again, I can just highlight that, move it over, and then again, immediately I'll have them already because if I just do move, it's already connected to the component that it's supposed to be connected to. I don't have to reconnect anything, right? And then similarly, if I go to my tutorials, I can also go in there and then grab them and then just move them over. So what happens when you have a structure like this is you have everything very, very clearly kind of segmented so that you have all your tutorials in one place if you ever want to learn something. You have all your different dashboards in one place if you ever want to use any of your systems, and you have all your components if you want to rebuild anything. So this gives us, I think, the best structure, honestly, for easily hot swapping in parts. Is kind of the way I like to think about it. Like if I ever want to customize my system by adding new features, by adding new updates. So another really cool thing now we can do is instead of if people are already fully customized, they don't want to change certain things, but they have this one component that they haven't touched yet, but they really want an updated version from our system. All they have to do is just move that component in and then fix the relations, right? Re-relate it to their actual system, and then they're done, right? So we've created a lot of resources to help people guide them through this process, but ultimately it's the system design that's really powering everything, that's allowing people to really have the best flexibility of your system and not have to worry about like things being lost. So let me give you an example, right? Like if I take any other system out there that is available, and most people just have one page, right? If you buy a template, you have like one page, you have the database in there, you have the view on how to use it, and then you have and then maybe have a tutorial like surrounding it. But basically what happens is if I want to ever see that component on any other page, I'm tough out of luck, right? My original component is going to be in that page. I can create a linked view, but ultimately if I ever accidentally delete that original page it came in, I have lost the original database. And it's not very easy for me to keep things organized, right? Again, I might tweak things, I might change things, I might want more linked views, and I'll start not remembering like which one is a linked view and which one is the original view or the original database inside that page. It's super complicated. So we say, forget all that. It doesn't have to be that complicated. Your original database will always be in your components. You'll always have a sync block that will give you more views if you need it. So you can put it anywhere else. We're not locked to our dashboards. You're not even locked to our system. You can take them anywhere you want. It's completely up to you. And if you want to learn how to use it, we have tutorials that kind of just really explain the gist of how this works, and you can follow that along with them, and you can learn what you need to learn. So super clean, super simple, and I think this has really been one of the biggest innovations for the system that I'm super, super proud of. So we talked about standardizing views. So yeah, basically everything here has really been following something that I built on live on stream actually, which was our design system. So let me show you our design system because again, I think it's only with consistency that we've been able to do a lot of these things. And the only way we've been able to be so consistent is because we have this design system. So I basically map out like what's a database best practice, and you don't actually have to even like be developing our templates to get value out of this design system, in my opinion. If you want to do anything in Notion, I think there's a lot of really good best practices that we found out that will help you make your life a lot easier when you're using Notion if you keep your system and your space organized in this way. So what do I mean? So for example, we have like database best practices, right? Which really says, hey, in general, we hide titles on databases. We use the cover as a card preview. We keep it to 3 lines of information, 3 lines of properties in the card to avoid cluttering. Any text information directly below the title. Like this is stuff that like makes it really useful for people who don't what's the basics, fundamentals. Then we go into like, for example, our tutorials, right? What should our tutorials look like? Well, there should be 1 or 2 sentences explaining the purpose. We should have like this block that tells people, that you can get back to whenever they want. There should be an instructional video. There should be a take action block, a use case, number 1, and then, a brief description on what this use case kind of accomplishes, and et cetera, et cetera. So this makes it super easy. You can always go back to their tutorial page, and yeah, so it kind of makes things very clean, right? So if anyone wants to develop a tutorial with us, that's really what they can expect. Or when anyone wants to use a tutorial, that's what they can expect in the usability. Then you have dashboards, right? So we have, a components, a view name, a component view name, so on and so forth. So that's usually how it looks, and we usually have this in full page. So actually, I'll show it like this. So that's how it usually works. Then we have our component names, our components like you saw before. We have tutorials, we have sync blocks, we have original databases, and really that's how everything is organized. We always have at a glance, we always have an all. So really just making sure that if anybody wants to come in and collaborate with us or even use our systems, they know what they can expect. It's always going to be very, very consistent. And it took us a lot of time, one, to design something that works consistently and everyone agrees on that it's one of the best ways to keep things organized. But also it was very difficult to kind of migrate all these changes into the system as well. I think really that was one of the biggest pain points of this process and why it kind of took so long. Moving forward, I want to talk also about Teamspace updates. I think you guys also saw, if you guys were following along on the live stream, that we had various collaboration builds that we were trying to enable for everybody. So the main thing here was that I wanted to make sure that everybody, that we had a long-term solution on how we could develop better systems together and also collaborate in a meaningful and engaging way. So the first thing is, if you guys are part of our Notion Teamspace, which you should be, if you are part of our community, if you're have joined in our community discussions at least once or twice, you already have unlocked veteran status. And with that comes the Notion Teamspace. If you have questions about that, ask about that in the community inside our Gilded space. We'll be happy to help you. But basically, in your Teamspace, you'll see two main team spaces for you. One is collaboration, one is co-creation. The biggest difference between collaboration and co-creation is collaboration is a space where you can come in and anybody can comment, and leaders and moderators for each specific resource will come in and accept your edits and take them on. And also, if you are someone who's consistent in submitting feedback, then you will eventually become a leader and then eventually a moderator of that space as well. So that's super, super cool. Co-creation, on the other hand, is a space where all members can edit. So we say, hey, forget any kind of permission. We want this to be a fully creative and collaborative space, and a co-creative space. Just come in and build stuff, and we'll manage the rest. So leaders and moderators in that space kind of try to keep things organized, keep things coherent as we keep developing. So where does the Academy live? So the Academy actually has a backend that lives inside our collaboration space, because it's pretty important for us to keep this information quite high quality. So we want to make sure that there's still some vetting in place before it goes live. But the idea is that like anything that is then inside our Academy has a backend here where anybody can come in and go and edit stuff if they want, right? They can come in and say, hey, I want to comment on this. This one doesn't make sense to me. I want that to change, so on and so forth. So it's really, really direct in the way that you can do that, and also it's really, really quick. So once you change something, we can refresh it onto our Academy website, and it will automatically sync back and forth. So I thought that was super, super cool. Another thing that we have is the community templates. So community templates is something that is a member collaboration. So you can see that for members only, we have these community templates which are developed by the community. Again, so what we're going to do right now is we're going to start really shifting everything to our design system. For community templates are designed before our design system. Obviously, there needs to be some time to rebuild those, but for now, they still all work. So if you, for example, want to take advantage of Anne's amazing self-regulation tracker, you can go ahead and just duplicate this directly by clicking these links and using that. So again, that is another way where we are really just incentivizing people to come in and build with us, right? If you, well, maybe I skipped jump the gun a bit. Well, the system laboratory actually is the way that you might want to build with us. So you go and co-create with us. It's part of our member co-creation space. So we have a system laboratory here where we go ahead and experiment on new systems that make us better. You can see that we have our system experiments that we're going to be developing, and we can also go ahead and give and get feedback on certain things. So for example, let's say there's a new experiment going on, just an example for the live stream. And let's say we have this new experiment happening. So what's the purpose, pain point? We kind of, again, everything needs to be very clear. So we communicate everything. We have the component behind. Actually, something really cool is that people can actually come in and add feedback. So they come in and add feedback. They say, hey, feedback number one. Actually, we need to edit this. So they say, hey, great job doing X, Y, Z, and then obviously want to add more, but you have numbers that you can also actually add. So I say, hey, what was the user experience? Oh, the functionality first, the user experience aesthetic. So like out of 5, what was it? So like, let's say this was a 3, this was a 4, and this was a 5, right? So then if I go back, maybe I should label this so people know it's easier. So out of 5, user experience out of 5 as well, and aesthetics out of 5. Okay, so what happens basically is if I go back to here, you can see that I have this new experiment, and you can see that you can see the feedback that's been given. So feedback out of 5 is 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5, 5 out of 5. So very, very cool stuff. Again, feel free to come in and work on stuff. But the idea is that anybody can, because now of a better understanding of our systems, can start building new enhancements, can start building new features, can start coming in and submitting their own custom templates. And you have a decision to make. It's like, hey, do you want that update to be part of the toolbox, right? Of course, if it's an update to existing systems, then it should be. But if it's a brand new system, do you want to make it a new system that you want to share with everybody to the world, unleash positive impact to people outside our community as well, or just directly within our community, and that's okay as well. So basically, we give people a lot of ways, one, to understand how the system works, to take our system as is or customize it however they want, to resubmit those updates back to us easily through our system laboratory. and also share them with the community through community templates. So really just making that process much, much more kind of distributed and more, I guess, collaborative, really. Because I think the collaboration style we used before was really more like synchronous, whereas this can be much more asynchronous in terms of development. I think the last thing to talk about is really the, in terms of Teamspace updates, is the org chart, just for people to kind of understand like where we're at in terms of our organizational structure. So you can just click on Co-x3 organization inside our public collaboration space if you want to see it. You can kind of understand some of the roles that I mentioned before. So as I mentioned, leaders, moderators, team members, right? Leaders are people who just consistently give value, provide feedback, and eventually they get to own that certain resource that they continuously give feedback for. Moderators are people who have been leading multiple different resources within a certain vertical. Eventually, we say, hey, you obviously should just own the whole vertical, so you get to own the whole vertical, and you have edit permissions on that. And team members are people who get full access of the vertical and just help manage permissions. So you can see that we have like a bunch of Co-x3 roles that you can see we're kind of mapping out, and specifically what kind of workspace or team space are they involved in, and what kind of team space do they manage. So that's something that you can take a look at whenever you want. But the idea is that this gives people a better way of understanding what specific, like who's in charge of which resource and who can go to for help and so on and so forth. It just makes it a lot easier, I think. So super, super stoked about that for sure. Um, and I think the last thing to talk about really is just like one of the biggest things was trying to fix like duplication bugs. I mentioned a bit before, but like this really probably took a significant portion of time because one was that I think a lot of people were frustrated that tags got desynced after duplication. Basically, what that means is if I was, let's say, inside my, let's close a few of these tabs. Yeah, so this was here. Yeah, so let's say I was inside my, yeah, let's say I was going through tutorials and I was going through a tutorial island and I went in and I started as a adventurer. Sometimes this wouldn't show my reward. And they're like, why? That shouldn't be the case. I'm like, that's correct. It shouldn't be the case. The reason is because in the duplication process, the tags might have gotten desynced. So that's something frustrating that happens like once every like 5 or 10 duplication cycles. So it wasn't super easy to spot even in my own testing, but basically just trying to make sure that these don't get lost has been something really important to me because people obviously, if you're brand new to Notion, you don't know how to relate these tags every single time. You might want to add in something. And also, even if I show you how to do it en masse very quickly, it's still not super convenient for you to do, right? So fixing that was one big thing we had to do. And the other thing, like I mentioned, for our dashboards, I tried really hard to make sure that all our dashboards had synced views so that we make it so that I don't have to continuously update every single view whenever I make any change in the master, right? So like, for example, if I make, again, if I kind of go through the user journey where I might want to make a tweak into my components, I might want to make a tweak to, let's say, one of my areas of competence. And let's say I change the areas and values. I realize that I want this extra property. It means a lot to me. It's super important. But on top of that, I might just want to go quickly into my views and I say, hey, I just want to show this new property. And if I do that, I want that to also apply everywhere, right? So let me just do something random. Let's say I want to show my review, not my review frequency, let's say. And then if I go to alignment, immediately it pops up, right? So that's a kind of intuitive experience that I want for everybody. I'm still trying to put the final touches on that to make sure, like for sure, there's no kind of bug that comes out. One of the bad things that might happen from that, if I really want to be sure, is I might have to just not have the sync block at all, which is going to be very sad. But don't worry, it'll still be quite easy for you if you ever want the sync block to still go back into the components and grab it. But just like, like this is something that I've been trying to like fulfill for everybody in terms of a feature for a very long time. So please bear with me to make sure that I do make sure this works before you get a version that is right for you. And people in the community know who have been testing with our early access versions. And thank you for that, by the way. I really appreciate it. I have kind of understand the trials and tribulations we've been going through. But again, I hope that with our Q1 updates, it's been clear that not only is everybody getting like a fantastic system that's going to really grow with them and help them level up in their adventure of their growth journey, but also to know that, hey, things are going to be super streamlined as we move forward into the new year for everyone to come in and just really join hands in developing this as best as we can together, because I think ultimately there's so much innovation that's still kind of locked in everybody's, in you guys, mind. And I would love to get them out, right? I'd love to see how you use the system. I'd love to see how we can better help you, navigate everything and use it to its full potential. And we'd love to know where we can improve constantly. So I think with that, thank you guys so much. Again, like I mentioned, the update will be released this weekend. I don't know if it'll be today, tomorrow, or on Monday on the newsletter, but rest assured, you will definitely get it this weekend. And just stay tuned. And yeah, please remember, stay intentional, make work fun, and yeah, let me know how I can help you this coming year. And thank you again for your patience. Please take care, everybody.